Hey family, it's Tasha, MAMABEAR Prepping. So welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. You already know what time it is, baby. Get your drink, pull up. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about another doozy. And we're really talking about the military and the questions that are coming up now pretty often. And that is, you know, what is your belief, your thoughts on the military and whether military troops would comply and follow orders of the president or whoever in regards to strong arming, you know, American citizens, right? Basically, would the military turn on American citizens? Simple question, hard answer, very hard answer, but I'm going to give you my thoughts. So let's dive into this, because I have a lot of thoughts when it comes to this, right? And this is just my humble opinion, you guys. But my thoughts center around the fact of the numbers of the military and then also capabilities of the military and what would be the point of them doing stuff. Right off GP, if you ask me, would the average military person follow orders and do whatever, right? Set up blockades, right? Do their job basically against American people? The answer is yes. Okay. Because we are conditioned to do so. We are conditioned to follow orders. We're not a bunch of robots, right? Like the movies, but we are conditioned to follow orders. We joined to follow orders. We joined to serve our country, serve our president, serve the orders that come down in order to make, you know, this America safe, right? Serve and protect, right? It also says foreign domestic, and that's where I think a lot of people think, oh no, the you know, average American military person would not turn on their countrymen because they are serving their country. They join because they're patriotic and they're joining their country. Yes, and that stuff can still be true, okay? But that doesn't negate the fact that they are conditioned to follow orders, okay? Now, a huge group is going to follow orders. The majority, you guys, is going to follow orders. Then there's going to be a group where they're concerned. They do not want to necessarily follow the orders. They do not necessarily want to quarantine this whole area, shut this area off, cut this amount of people off, whatever, right? Hold back a group of people, right? But they're going to do it because they're in a situation where they are too dependent on the military, right? People that live on base are not going to just walk away. They have a family who is housed there, who live there, who possibly children go to school there. And so they might think that what they're doing is bad and they might be struggling with it. But at the end of the day, they're still going to follow orders because they do not want to disrupt what they have going on for their own family, the safety of their own family. Okay. And to be honest, you can't blame them, because at the end of the day, when things go left, it's going to be every man for himself. The people are going to be thinking about their families and making decisions based on what's going to keep their family safe. And for those military families who have served, you know, they are in a situation where they're going to want to protect their family as well. Okay. And they're going to have and be in a situation where they're able to still do that by just simply following an order. So you're going to have a group of people that are uneasy. You have military already that are uneasy every single day doing stuff. You have folks that don't want to shoot weapons. You have folks that go into places knowing they're going to hurt people and harm people, and they still do it, right? They go in to follow orders, right? You follow an order every time we train. We know that combat might happen, right? You might hurt somebody, kill somebody, right? So they've already agreed to a point to do that already, right? And then they're conditioned to follow orders, okay, for the good of the country. And it's very easy, I would think, to convince a group of young military, patriotic men and women that they're doing what's best for their country, okay, that they are just going up against the people that are against the country, right? So it'd be a huge campaign, obviously, on what is right and what is really going on, but that's the reality. Now, where I tell you to kind of fall back as far as like being overly concerned about this, this doesn't necessarily keep me up at night, but I definitely think about this. I definitely think about the day that this stuff turns, okay? But let's talk numbers. You know, military-wise, we only have maybe, we're going to be real generous and say 2 million troops. That's reserves, that's Coast Guard, that's all of them all together, right? All the branches, all reserves. It's maybe 2 million. That's generous. I think it's slightly under that. Let's just say you throw in the police officers. That's maybe another million for the United States. So we're looking at what? 3 million, okay? And of that, we know that not all of them are going to comply. There is going to be a small group from jump that it's going to be uncomfortable and be like, nope, 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 nope. Get me out. I want out. It's just like what happened with the pandemic. You had groups, you know, big groups, thousands upon thousands of troops, soldiers, you know, Marines, sailors that did not want to comply with getting, you know, vaccinated, right? And those folks, some of them are out, and then some of those folks are kind of in limbo right now, right? On hold, right? But they stood their ground, right? And they were not going to do that. I was one of those people. I got very, very lucky because I got to scoot out, and I was in the middle of retiring when it kind of all went down. And so I was able to get out. Hubby was not so fortunate, right? He had a little bit more time left, right? And so he ended up getting it. And, you know, some stuff happened after he got that, but that's another story. My point is, there is going to be a small group that don't want to do it. But of 3 million, how many people are in the United States, you guys? It's like over 300, pushing 400 million, okay? The percentage is just not there to be able to overtake the entire United States, okay? There's a couple wargaming things that could happen, right? Do they try to section it off in regions? Do they try to section, and then they have those certain military armies and, you know, police officers and everything that band together. But again, very, very difficult. One, they don't have the men and women to the numbers, right? And they don't have the supplies, right? They don't have the supplies to be able to cordon off and quarantine off. I think that they have planned to quarantine off regions and stuff for different pandemic stuff, but that's different than what we're talking about right now, right? You know, they just don't have the numbers or the supplies to really do that. Where they can do that and be effective in that with the numbers that they have is cities. Okay, so cities is where you need to be worried about. Places that are concentrated militaries already, right? Where the bases are at. Those areas, the cities that are closest to those areas, the major cities, that's the stuff that they can block off. And the theory, the idea of this would be you block off the areas that you can, that you do have the numbers to protect, to set up, to fortify, right? And then the plan is they don't care about the rest, because then they just starve out the rest, right? The idea is then you cut off everything else outside of what you can lock down. And then you wait for those people. Those people are either going to die, or those people are going to eventually start coming in. This is their thought process, right? Those people will either die, or those people will start coming into the cities and complying, right? And getting in line because they're starving, because they have no water, food, whatever, medicine, they're sick, whatever the case may be, right? And so the idea that they would take over the whole country is just not, it's just not something that could happen, right? Could they do it by a state thing? Like, hey, a federal type thing, like, hey, whatever, militaries are stationed in certain states, that military, coupled with the police, would then come together and lock down that state. Again, you know, maybe they can lock down borders. But I would venture that most states do not have the supplies to physically lock down their states, meaning their states, the whole entire borders, with walls, you know, to keep people out, right? It's not possible to do in a strong and effective military way. Okay. Again, could those states be ordered, hey, now you're going to lock down your own cities and be responsible for it, and then there's like a chain of command? Again, cities, yes. Could that be possible? Yes, right? And then the rest of the state itself would be open. I don't know. Or you would just be trapped in that open space in your state, but can't get outside of a border. I don't know. But I don't lose sleep because I think of what's the capabilities, right? We have a lot of stuff. We have a lot of weapons. We have a lot of stuff, right? That they could harm people. But the thing is, there's just not enough of them to actually use the stuff. There's just not. Because if you start employing, you know, like crazy weaponry like that, right? Missiles into these other areas, these open areas, right? Outside of the quarantine, shut off area, right? You have folks that now are going to get angry. It's one thing to shut off of people and they have to just survive, but then to shut off of people and then be attacking them, you're going to have people that are going to band together, resistance that are going to build, and people are going to fight back, right? If they are not already, just from the basic quarantines of cities and cities being shut down. Now, where this kind of goes, where I get concerned, is when this turns into an actual fortified, well-oiled, well-running machine. It turns into, we've molded the militaries, we've molded the police. It's no longer those entities, and it's now one force, like New World Order type stuff. Right, a whole, the haves and the have-nots, because again, you have folks that are going to cheat, that are going to step in line so that they can up their status, so that they can be okay, so they can feed their families, so that they can have medical attention, so that they can have access to society type things that they want to be able to go and do, get their teeth done, right? Different stuff, right? They're gonna want to be part of that, right? That new society, right? Because it's easy. It's easy to step into that. But I tell you what, not everything is going to be roses, right? Not everybody is going to be able to work, let's say, in some kind of prestigious position and make a lot of money. There will be, you know, a stepping stone type, anarchy type situation, right? There will be a bottom of the barrel in that situation. There will be the haves and the have-nots, right? And then on the outside of that, you'll have a group of people who are just trying to survive, that are possibly fighting for a new government, the right government, tearing down dictatorship, whatever the case may be, right? They're going to be forming, right? And it's just going to be a very ugly, ugly thing. But when we talk about, you know, the ability of the military to just come down and, or if we think that they would just start shooting civilians, I would tell you that a lot of military folks would think twice about shooting into a crowd of Americans, right? Just off jump, let's just say an order to shoot into a crowd of people with real bullets. You have some crazies in the military that would love that stuff, but you have a ton of patriots that would 100% not like the idea of that, would not know how to fathom the idea of that. And that would be the point where they would be like, what? What are we doing? It's one thing to quarantine, put up walls, defend, right? Set up compounds, set up firing positions. All of that is normal, right? You are setting up and breaking down something, right? Control, right? It's normal. Keep them people at bay, right? But when you talk about, no, you will fire on those citizens to keep them out. That's a line, right? That's a hardcore line that next wave of group of military that are not going to comply are going to show up, right? They might be a little late to the party, but then they're going to finally be like, what? And it's going to click on, okay? But again, you're going to have folks that are gonna try to get away with as much as they can, meaning, hey, fire on this group, and they're gonna act like they're doing their job, but they're not really gonna be doing the job because they are messed up in the head with it, right? They can't physically do it. But they like their status, they like their position, they have a family to take care of, they have a family that's on this side of the line, on their side of the line, that they have to ensure it can still eat their food tonight, right? It's just not a good feeling, right? I think that it's definitely not something to be losing sleep at night. I think that you have everything in your power to prepare now. You know, how do you prepare for something like this? Well, you get out of the cities. And I know folks are sick of hearing that, especially the ones that are in the city, and especially if you feel like you can't get out of the city, you don't have options. But that in itself is still a true statement, right? Like, you've got to get out of the cities, because one day this is the type of situation that you will find yourself in. If it's not in the middle of an SHTF, no water, no toilets, people dying all around you in the city, you can't get out type situation, right? No resources, whatever, to a situation like this where it's locked down and you're stuck in the city because now you're in the middle of a new world order type situation. The goal should be to try to get as far away from that as you can. And then the goal is to build up self-sufficiency. The goal is to make it where you do not need any other entities to take care of you and your family. You're growing your own food. You're preserving your own food. You're stockpiling food now while you still have it, while you can still get it on the shelves. You're stockpiling for the future. You're thinking about your water. You're storing water. You're figuring out how you would make water safe to drink. You're going to a location and thinking about your location in regards of the water sources around you. How easily can you get water where you're at? How close are you to the cities? How would that area be affected in this type of situation, right? You know, your medicines, the things that you go out in society to get done, like your teeth cleaned, or you get hurt, you get sick, you know, getting things mended, fixed, you know, your car fixed, your different things, getting things built, going on Amazon, buying this, buying that, stockpile that stuff, right? Be able to start teaching yourself how to take care of yourself and do things yourself, right? If there's no doctor, how do you get done what you need to get done? Whether it's a small, medical situation, whether it's just having the supplies, whether it's having the knowledge, having the holistic, knowledge, but teach yourself to be self-reliant and to not have to depend on other people. Start now and start learning who your folks are around you. Those like-minded people, those tribes, even folks that maybe aren't your very next door neighbor, but live close by. Figure out, what do they do for a living? You know, do you know a nurse? Do you know a doctor? Do you know somebody who knows how to do things, build things, grow things, preserve things, do things, growing animals, learning from those folks now what they're going to feed their animals when there's no store-bought feed. Like, learn those skills now, but learn where those people are at so that you can travel within your means and talk to people and learn how to do things and still get assistance, right? If you know a veterinarian, for example, somebody gets hurt, and it's something beyond your means, you know, being able to communicate and talk to that veterinarian or that doctor and say, hey, I need help, right? I need help, sister or brother. I have a situation. We need a doctor. We need somebody, right? Know where those people are at. They don't necessarily have to be your tribe that's at your location, in your house, or in your neighborhood or whatever, right? But learn that stuff. Learn your neighbors. Learn what they do, right? I'm not the talker. It doesn't seem like it, right? But hubby is the one that he goes outside. He could be doing yard work. He could go for a walk. He could be driving. Folks gravitate towards my husband, right? And they tell him everything. I don't know what it is. He's very personal, but they just will talk his ear off. We can be anywhere. It's the craziest stuff, right? And all these neighbors, they gravitate towards him, you know, and it's crazy because like a new one will move in and they'll gravitate towards him. So hubby gets all the intel. I mean, I'm a watcher and I get a lot of intel just watching. He is getting intel straight from their mouths, right? So he's the one that's finding out, you know, hey, what do they do for a living? Are they retired? Are they not retired? You know, do they have family in the area? They tell him this stuff. He's not sitting there asking them questions. They're telling him this, okay? It's just something about him. People want to talk to him and tell him stuff, right? And then he comes back and tells me, and I kind of add that to what I already know. And it's tag team, baby, tag team, back again. We're doing it, right? We're getting that intel. But it's important to know what these people did. Even if somebody's retired, what did you do, right? We know where all the military people are in the neighborhood. We know where the ex-pharmacy people are, the doctors, anybody, whatever you did in, you know, the civilian life, even if they're a little bit older or they're retired, we know, because that's a skill set, right? They still know something about that, right? And there's still knowledge that you can glean from them, right? And learn from them. So you know, what I'm saying is, don't get riled up in the whole, you know, civil war's coming, and, you know, all this talk about division and stuff. Like, I know yesterday's video, was a little bit about that. And that's just because I wanted to get that off my chest on that whole speech, right? Because it was upsetting to me. But we don't have to buy into that. We don't have to feed into that division. We need to speak of unity, and we need to speak on what we're doing now to ensure that we can continue to survive where we're at, and survive the things to come. And you do that with discernment. You do that with the Lord and asking him every single day to give you guidance on what to do and what to do to prepare and what directions to go and where to move. That's what you do. And then you'll be fine, right? Continue to do the things, continue to build that self-reliant, self-sufficiency type life, and you're on your way, okay? And trust in God. Trust in God that he has your back, because he does have your back, right? He's the only one that has our back, right? And keep doing it. I don't know if you guys saw my tincture yesterday. I did Rosemary Gladstar's fire cider yesterday. I'm going to do another one today. I'll be posting that. Hubby right now is in there cooking up all the tomatillos and peppers and tomatoes and onions and all that stuff for his salsa, his famous salsa. And so he's making several batches. Normally he only does a batch, but it only gets us about 4 pint-sized jars, which I then process so we can get them on the shelf, make them shelf stable. But this time I told him, man, I need like 3 or 4 batches so we can make a ton of them, because once they go on the shelf, they just fly off, right? We love us some salsa. So I hope you guys are doing well. We are about to start our septic today. Like, I think they're about to like break ground today. So we're finally 8 months later. We're in a situation where we're finally financially about to start this septic. I'll be showing you guys pictures so you can see it, because we're going from gravity to pressurized, and it's an above ground type system, right? It's an Oscar system. So I'll show you guys that for those of you that haven't seen that. But super, super excited about that. So I will see you guys tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.